Hello, we are Totem Maples, and we are nominated for Best Spoken Word Album with Musical Accompaniment. And we are actually four-time Independent Music Award nominees. We were nominated in 2006 for our first two albums. I got them here. Trip to the Sun was nominated for Best Hip Hop Rap Album and Best Jam Band 2006. And Ars Poetica was nominated for Best Jam Band. So now our third album, 2013, In the Realm of the Census, is nominated for Best Spoken Word with Musical Accompaniment. Nothing has changed about our style. We just now have an official category. We're here today with myself, Larry Handy, and the poet. We got
Justin Punzalan,
Eric Elsey,
Matt Coleman.
And we're missing two. But
they're still alive.
they're still alive, yeah. They're on a couple of milk cartons. Joanne, Kim, and Brian Sadler.
That's sad.
Okay, our influences.
They vary. They're all over the place.
Yeah. With spoken word and music, probably, I'd say The Last Poets, Watts Prophets, Gil Scott-Heron. But each of us have our own little personal influences. I know me, I love Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, a lot of classic rock.
That for me, it's all over the place. I go from everything from Disney music to James Taylor to Louis Armstrong to Tribe Called Quest to I actually, as far as contemporary singer-songwriters that I look up to, is M. Ward. I look up to that guy a lot. There's plenty of songs that he writes that I definitely could wish that I'd written. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of like you. I've got a lot of different, from whatever kind of music you could think of. But I think one of my favorites is Dave Matthews Band. As far as a jam band goes, they're top notch in my book, and their drummer is one of my biggest influences. So definitely that.
True that. James Ingram, Ralph Tresvant. Since I do turntable stuff, I like a lot of DJs, but I get most of my influence from percussion guys, Pancho Sanchez, people like that, because I kind of want to, at least when I started scratching and stuff, this guy doesn't know, but I would try to copy what he did on the congas and the drums, so my influence, these guys.
Yes,
sir.
Yeah.
As far as unusual effects or instruments on the album, I know we did a lot of sampling. Sampled a lot of sound effects. Comedy. You name it. A lot of reverb on out there things.
actually, you took there's some of the experiences I've had was you taking like sounds from your office
Yeah.
place and making some rhythm stuff out of that. Definitely, I think with this band, it's progressively gotten more steady, but also much more eclectic, and so that the sound samples showcase that too as well.
Yeah, there was like a French avant-garde style where they would just take sound effects from strange things and make music out of it. So I would listen to a lot of things and read about things and see if I could bring it into the studio if I had time. So yeah. Any happy accidents that happened during the studio? Well, I don't know. I think the actual album itself was one big happy accident. I only had 3 poems, and I just called Matt up one day and said, "Hey, I want to go in the studio to record an album." And I only had 3 poems, and those 3 poems ended up being a double disc.
I think that's the point of that though. The happy accident is there's the sound of Totem Maples. It's
True.
6 people
It's true.
plus other people. People that we bring in. The engineer, been, we trust people's ears, but also there's a lot of different people. Everybody in this band is different, and you hear that in this band. And the accident is we're friends. That's the point of this band, is to play music with our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a happy accident.
Yeah.
My folks told us.
Yeah, we chose to submit this work to the IMAs. Well, I know personally it's been sort of my mission to take spoken word or poetry to the next level. I mean, for me, as a poet, I'm so used to seeing poetry kind of sort of being in the minor leagues of everything. Spoken word is like the minor league of rap, or poetry in a book is like the minor league of literature. I always wanted to energize it. So that was why I always wanted to do it with music. And as far as the IMAs are concerned, submit something to an audience that can listen to it critically, and get good feedback, but not try to just judge it on some pop level. I know a lot of spoken word poets who do with music that when they get signed to a label, the label doesn't know how to really market them, so they become rappers. And I've always just wanted to stay true to the style, because I think there's a lot of experimentation still needed in development in the particular style. So I'm hoping that the IMAs would give spoken word that recognition. Definition of success for me is just doing what you love, finding peace in what you do. It's not always about money.
That usually, if it's about money, it's gonna fall short.
Yeah.
I think that's half the problem with the music industry today, though, is that a lot of things are based on a financial, like where is your music headed, instead of having the ability just to, you're an artist, so you're gonna be an artist, and you can still make a living. It may not be, it'll be a steady, you can still find avenues out there to make a steady living. But I think sometimes artists get, what's it called? The sky's the limit, yeah, of course, but the thing is, you can live in a certain house. It doesn't have to be the mansion or any of that kind of stuff, and be successful. There's all different various of success within music and art.
And you can do multiple things. I mean, we all have day jobs, and that's how we make money.
Yeah.
Some of us make money playing. Matt, I think you make some money, maybe a little bit.
I got a day job.
Yeah. You got a day job, Larry and I have day jobs.
Yes.
You have a day job, but we still do our music, and
Exactly.
and we can, and that's a good outlet. It's a good way to express ourselves and do that, even though we're doing these other things as a full-time job.
Yeah, one thing I think is successful about us is, man, we've been doing it for some time without that financial mark, and we've moved several different places, but we still come together.
Yeah.
We still get that feel. And when we do the albums, we could be doing albums somewhat almost remotely or piecemeal. But man, every time I listen to it, still sounds good at the end. I love it, man.
Yeah.
But that's the truth. Really, that's what the beautiful thing about this band is. There are still projects going to be made, and nobody's going to tell this guy that he's not going to be able to make a CD and try to push it out there. And so we're thankful for the IMAs and this opportunity. But if that didn't exist, Larry, it's all Larry. But saying, I got these words, come together, friends, let's put it together, and that's integrity as a personal musician, as an artist, and that's the beautiful thing about this band.
Yeah. It took us, well, we've been an official band since 1997, and it's what, 2013, and
Is it that long?
yeah.
And all kinds of stuff like that.
So much has happened. It took us about jail. Went to the moon, came back. It took us about 3.5 years just to record this album. Just because things happen. Happy accidents. But we finished, and now we're in the studio doing a fourth album. That's taken a while, but we're gonna finish. And what? Just read the comic books. What superhero doesn't have a day job? Superman can save the world and destroy the world, but what does he do? That day he works at a newspaper, taking crap from his boss. You know what I mean? That's what we do. We're gonna save the world with our music, but we still got day jobs. Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. Songs that we wish we would have written. I don't know. That's a personal question. For me, as a poet, as a lyricist, I'd say the entire Bob Dylan catalog, and the entire Morrissey catalog, everything he did solo and also with the Smiths, but, I don't know.
That's a heavy-handed
Heavy question, yeah.
There's I go back to M. Ward. He wrote. There's a song. I believe he wrote about his wife, but it's I can't remember the name of the song now, but it's one of his tunes, and I think it's important to actually listen to other artists. There's plenty of local artists too that I listen to and pay attention to, that I'm always inspired by the things that are happening at the local coffee shops and bars and all the things where you can find local talent and independent talent, and people writing some good stuff. So,
question came up. It's digital EPs versus albums versus downloading. What is the future of it? I don't know. As for me, I just think everything goes in cycles. I think right now, people seem to be going the singles route with the whole iTunes downloading. We sell albums at our shows. People come up to us and want to buy physical CDs, but for the most part, people are into the I guess the mix and match of iTunes. But everything happens in cycles. I for one record albums just because of our style. It's literature, and so I look at an album as like a book. It's poetry and music, and there aren't that many poetry bands out there, so I'm kind of sort of pushing it more because we don't just represent ourselves. I'm sort of just representing the style almost. I think if there were more poetry bands out there, I'd do the smart thing, and do EP.
I don't know. I think it's interesting though to actually look at a piece of art and try to make something bigger out of it. I think there's people still doing it, but I think it's nice to have the availability to piecemeal it. If that's what you like, I like that song, but the other one. So I think it's got its place. Both avenues got its place.
Yeah.
It's interesting right now with Spotify even, the fact that a band like us, who's really not big, can be on there right next to everybody else. And I can tell people, I'm in this band, we're called Totem Maples, and check us out on Spotify, and they check me out on Spotify because we're there, and I think it's so accessible now to which in one respect has much more music. There's so much music out there that it's hard to decipher what is the best or who is the best, if there is such a thing. And you're talking about all the local bands, and all of a sudden all those local bands are worldwide if they have a following, and it's an interesting time we live in, I think, for music, where it's just, you know, there's so much music out there, and the record labels have their people, but there's so many other talents out there that are starting to get recognized that it really is almost taking the money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people can access whatever they want to access and listen to whatever they want to listen to, especially with something like Spotify, because it's there, you know.
Mm.
It's free. You know, you can listen to anything you want for free.
I think it's taken the situation where music is taking things back to a live venue. I mean, that's where it's important to do your best to perform, you know, and that's where I think albums, like you said, albums will be picked up, and also that's the future of actually finding new art, I think. Things go back to playing live shows.
Yeah. You know, again, upcoming projects. We're in the studio doing our 4th album.
And he's still calling me. You got any
Yeah.
new music?
Yeah, it's called Transistor Poetics, like a transistor radio and the art of poetry. It's, you know, sound and poetry. I'm just playing with images. It's also another double disc. I wanted to do an homage to my poetic heroes. So I'm reciting poetry by some other poets. Anne Sexton, Allen Ginsberg, some passages from the Bible, all to Totem Maples music. And on the 2nd disc, doing my own poetry, Totem Maples music. So that album, I just recently got my MFA in creative writing, so I was in the studio doing that album and working on my dissertation, so I was sort of burnt out, you know, off and on, you know. Matt has some new songs that he's working on, and I like them, and I guess as long as Matt has chords and I got words, you know, and friends want to play, there's gonna be a Totem Maples. So
I think so.
yeah. So, well, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for listening. I hope you are just inspired by our work. Hope it inspires you to go out and write, sing, recite, rap,
Purchase.
do whatever, purchase, play. Yeah, that's what we're about. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.